There's a secret out there. A secret that the most magnetic, captivating women in the world know. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how they look, how much money they have, or how old they are. It's something so subtle, yet so incredibly powerful, that if you learn to use it just once, he will choose you, even if he has 1,000 other options. Have you ever looked at a woman and just wondered, what is it about her? She's got this inexplicable magnetism. You see it in the way men who seemed completely uninterested before suddenly start turning towards her like sunflowers tracking the sun across the sky. You've probably tried all the usual advice. You've read the articles, you've listened to the podcasts. They all say the same things, right? Play hard to get. Don't be too available. Be mysterious. But none of that ever feels quite right, does it? It feels like you're playing a game, like you're not being your true self. The real answer, the real secret, goes so much deeper than that. It taps into something far more primal, far more real. There's a psychologist, one of the most respected in all of Latin America, named Walter Riso. He spent decades, literally decades of his life, researching human connection, and he stumbled upon something that will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about attracting and relating to men. And today, right here, you are going to learn that secret. But before we dive in, I have to warn you about something, and it might sound a little alarming at first. The vast majority of women out there are doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing. They're trying way too hard. They're constantly trying to prove their worth, fighting for a scrap of male attention in a way that, paradoxically, makes them completely invisible. Have you ever felt that? That deep, sinking feeling of giving your absolute all to someone? You're the perfect woman, you're available, you're understanding, you're supportive, and yet, at the end of the day, he still doesn't choose you. You're left with that nagging feeling that you're just not that special to him. That pain, the pain of not being chosen, is one of the deepest and most profound wounds a woman can carry. It's like this little voice inside your head that whispers, "You're not enough. You need to be prettier. You need to be younger. You need to be more interesting." But what if I told you that the pain you're feeling right now isn't a dead end? What if it's actually a doorway? A gateway to unlocking your true, authentic feminine power? What Walter Riso discovered completely contradicts everything our society, our movies, and our magazines have taught us about seduction and relationships. His finding is so profoundly simple that once you hear it, it'll seem almost obvious. And yet, it's so revolutionary that it has the power to transform your entire love life in a matter of days. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to know exactly what to do to make almost any man see you as the most fascinating, captivating woman he has ever met. Not by using cheap tricks or manipulative tactics, but by radiating something genuine, something that comes from your deepest, most sacred inner core. The woman who understands this secret doesn't need to compete. She doesn't have to diminish herself or dumb herself down. She doesn't need to try so hard. She simply exists, living in her full feminine essence. And when she does that, men are naturally, almost helplessly, drawn to that energy like an invisible magnet. Today, you are going to discover this secret. You'll understand why it works on a psychological level, and most importantly, you'll learn exactly how to apply it in your own life. Because the time has come for you to stop settling for crumbs of attention. It is time for you to be chosen. Not as just one of many options, but as the choice. The only one. Now, before I pull back the curtain and reveal the secret that can literally change your relationships forever, I need you to make a small commitment to this journey with me. If you've watched this far, it's because some part of you, deep in your heart, already recognizes the truth in what I'm saying. So, do me a quick favor. Click the subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because the next few minutes could genuinely be the most important minutes of your entire love life. And then, I want you to do one more thing. Go down to the comments section and write just one single word, chosen. That word isn't just a word. It carries a powerful intention. When you type chosen, you are declaring to yourself and to the universe that you are ready to receive this sacred knowledge. You are affirming that you deserve to be the chosen woman, not just another option. So go ahead, pause the video if you need to, and write "chosen" in the comments right now. Because that simple act is going to activate something inside of you. It's going to prepare your heart and your mind to embrace the transformation that is about to happen. Every single word you write is like planting a seed in the fertile soil of your new romantic reality. Alright, are you ready? To really understand this secret, I have to take you on a little journey. A journey deep into the male psyche, to the very place where Walter Rizzo discovered something that few psychologists have ever dared to explore. Over his 40-year career, Rizzo observed thousands of relationships. He studied couples who were head over heels in love, men who had given up everything for one particular woman, and relationships that just seemed to have a kind of magical quality to them. And as he analyzed all this data, he started to see a pattern emerge, a pattern that defied all conventional logic about attraction. He noticed that the women who were truly, deeply chosen, the ones who were cherished and adored, were not always the most conventionally beautiful. They weren't necessarily the youngest or the most successful in their careers. There was something else going on. Something that you can't see with your naked eye, but that is as powerful and undeniable as a force of nature. Rizzo eventually gave it a name, female magnetic presence. But what in the world does that actually mean? And more importantly, why do some women seem to be born with it, while others spend their entire lives searching for it in vain? The answer lies buried deep within the most primal layers of our human nature. When a man meets a woman, something ancient awakens within him. It's a response that goes way beyond conscious thought, beyond reason and logic. It's as if a very old, very primal part of his brain gets activated, a part that is hardwired to recognize something sacred and powerful in the feminine energy. But here's the problem. Modern society has completely corrupted this natural, beautiful dynamic. We, as women, have been taught to operate in a masculine world. We've been taught to compete like men, to prove our worth through our achievements and conquests, and to be strong in a way that actually disconnects us from our truest, most potent source of power. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the moment you start actively trying to impress a man, he seems to pull away? The more you try to be the perfect woman for him, the more his interest seems to just fade into thin air. That is not a coincidence. It's a direct result of you acting against your own deepest nature. Here's the key insight. At his core, a man doesn't want to be impressed by a woman. He wants to be inspired by her. He doesn't want a woman who competes with him. He wants a woman who complements him. And that distinction, that single difference, is absolutely crucial. Rizzo discovered that there is a specific feminine state of being that acts like a portal. It's a portal that connects you directly to your purest, most authentic essence, and at the same time, it awakens something in a man, something he didn't even know he was searching for. This state of being cannot be faked or imitated. Trying to fake it is like trying to fake the scent of a real rose. You can create a chemical approximation that smells similar, but on a deeper level, the soul always knows the difference. Think about the women you know in your own life, the ones you truly admire, the ones who just have that special something, that presence. You'll notice they don't seem to be trying hard to stand out at all. They just are. And in that simple state of being, there is a sense of wholeness, of completeness, that is profoundly and deeply attractive. But how do you get to that state? How do you access that core essence when we've spent years, maybe even decades, learning to be something else entirely? The secret begins with a paradox. In order to be chosen by him, you must first, and most importantly, choose yourself. And I don't mean that in a selfish or narcissistic, I'm the best kind of way. I mean it in a truly sacred, profound way. You must reconnect with the woman you were before the world gave you wounds, before you had your heart broken, before you experienced all the disappointments. There is a version of you, deep inside, that knows her own worth without needing anyone else to validate it. A version of you that isn't afraid of being vulnerable, because she understands that in that vulnerability lies her greatest strength. A version of you that isn't afraid of love, because she understands that true love doesn't diminish you, it multiplies you. Walter Rizzo calls this process the return to the sacred feminine. And when a woman undertakes this journey back to herself, something truly extraordinary begins to happen. She becomes like a lighthouse standing on the shore. Men can sense her light from miles away. But here's the interesting part. Not every man can handle that light. Insecure men, they feel threatened by it. Immature men, they feel unworthy of it. Only the man who is truly ready for a deep, authentic love can approach that energy without fear. And that is the inherent beauty of this entire process. When you start operating from this sacred place, you automatically and effortlessly start attracting the right kind of men. You stop being a magnet for guys who just want to play games. You stop attracting the emotionally unavailable types who can never fully commit. Instead, you begin to draw in men who are ready to choose, ready to commit, and ready to love you for who you truly are. This doesn't mean you become passive or submissive. Absolutely not. On the contrary, you become powerful in a way that very few people truly understand. You become strong without being aggressive. You become powerful without seeming harsh. You become confident without being arrogant. The woman who has mastered this secret moves through the world differently. She speaks differently. She loves differently. And men feel that difference in every single cell of their bodies. But what exactly is this secret? What is the one tangible thing you can do that will change everything? The answer is going to surprise you, because it's not actually something you do for him. It's something you do for yourself. And paradoxically, that is the very thing that makes him choose you above all others. Alright, let's dive into the heart of it. The secret that Walter Riso uncovered after 40 years of dedicated research, the one thing that can fundamentally alter the course of your love life, can be distilled into a single powerful word: surrender. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. Surrender? Isn't that about giving up? Weakness? Waving the white flag? And that's exactly where society has led us astray. We've been taught to equate surrender with defeat. But in the context of feminine magnetism and true connection, it is the exact opposite. This isn't the surrender of a soldier on a battlefield. This is the surrender of a river to its own current. The river doesn't fight to get to the ocean. It flows. It doesn't struggle against its own nature. It embraces it. And in that effortless, powerful flow, it carves canyons through solid rock. That is the kind of surrender we're talking about. It is, without a doubt, the bravest and most powerful act a woman can undertake. When you truly surrender to your authentic feminine nature, you stop fighting against the natural currents of life and love, and you start flowing with them. And it's in that beautiful, graceful flow that you become utterly, magnetically, irresistible. So what does this surrender actually look like in practice? What does it mean to stop fighting and start flowing? It means letting go of the desperate need to control the outcome of a relationship. It means silencing that frantic inner voice that urges you to force love into existence, to micromanage every interaction, to analyze every text message. It means cultivating a deep and profound trust that when you are authentically, unapologetically yourself, the right kind of love will inevitably find its way to you, without you having to chase it down. Here's where the rubber meets the road. The woman who masters this art of surrender instinctively stops doing all the things that most of us have been conditioned to do when we like a man. First, she is no longer constantly, endlessly available. This isn't a game of 3-day rules or calculated unavailability. It's real. Her time is genuinely valuable to her because her life is full. She can't drop everything for a last-minute, low-effort invitation, not because she's trying to punish him, but because she's in the middle of a pottery class, or having dinner with friends she adores, or simply enjoying a quiet evening with a good book. Her world doesn't grind to a halt and wait by the phone for him to call. Second, she stops trying to be his therapist, his mother, or his fixer. When he comes to her with a problem, she doesn't immediately jump in with a 10-point plan to solve it. She doesn't drain her own energy trying to fix his life. She listens, she supports, she holds space for him, but she respects him enough to let him fight his own battles. She understands that her role is not to save him, but to inspire him to save himself. This creates a dynamic of respect and polarity, not one of dependency and emotional labor. And third, and this is a big one, She no longer sacrifices her own needs, dreams, and well-being to prove her worth to him. She doesn't cancel her plans, abandon her hobbies, or silence her own opinions just to be more agreeable or to make his life easier. She stops auditioning for the role of perfect girlfriend. Instead of bending over backwards to prove her value, she does something truly revolutionary. She invests all of that energy back into herself. She keeps her own life full, rich, and vibrant, completely independent of whether he is in the picture or not. Her life becomes this incredible, thriving ecosystem. She is like a paradise island in the vast ocean of life, whole, complete, and magnetic in her own right. She is the creator of her own happiness, the source of her own validation. She doesn't look to him to be the sun in her sky. She is her own sun, and her life is a solar system of interesting passions, deep friendships, and personal growth that orbits around her. A man senses this shift instantly. It's almost on a primal, subconscious level. His ancient, hardwired instinct recognizes something profound. This woman doesn't need him for her survival or her happiness. And yet, she wants to be with him. She chooses to share her incredible world with him. And it is that exact distinction, the difference between "I need you" and "I want you," that triggers something deep within the healthy male psyche. Suddenly, his instinct to pursue is awakened. But it's a different kind of pursuit. It's not the shallow pursuit of conquest, of just getting the girl. It's a deeper, more meaningful drive. It's the drive to become worthy of entering her paradise island. He realizes he has to step up. He has to bring his best self to the table. He has to earn a place in the vibrant, beautiful world she has already created for herself. He doesn't want to conquer her, he wants to be chosen by her. Let me give you a concrete example to make this crystal clear. There was a woman, let's call her Maria. Maria was 45 years old, and she had spent the last decade of her life in a painful, exhausting dance, trying to win back her ex-husband. She did everything you're supposed to do. She was always there for him, a constant, reliable presence. She cooked his favorite meals, she helped him with his problems, she was endlessly forgiving and understanding. She spent 10 years trying to prove to him that she was the perfect woman. And what was the result? He would come and go as he pleased, taking her love and support for granted, but never, ever truly choosing her. She was always the safe option, the backup plan. Then, one day, Maria stumbled upon this secret of sacred surrender. And she decided to do something that felt, to her, almost impossible. She stopped. Just like that. She stopped calling him. She stopped being available at a moment's notice. She stopped rearranging her life around the faint hope that he might need her. She stopped trying to solve his problems. Instead, she took all of that energy, all of that love and attention she had been pouring into him, and she poured it back into the most neglected person in her life, herself. She started painting again, a passion she had abandoned years ago when their relationship began. The smell of turpentine and oil paints filled her apartment, a scent she hadn't realized she missed so dearly. She started traveling, not to exotic faraway lands, but little solo weekend trips to nearby towns, exploring quaint bookshops and hiking trails. She reconnected with old friends and made new ones, building a community of people who celebrated her for who she was, not for what she could do for them. She rediscovered her own dreams, her own laughter, her own soul. And then, something magical, and yet entirely predictable, happened. The more whole and complete Maria became without him, the more he found himself thinking about her. The less she needed his validation, the more he desired her. His predictable world had been turned upside down. The woman who was always waiting in the wings was now the star of her own show, and he wasn't even in the audience. A few months into her transformation, he showed up at her door, flowers in hand, with a look of awe and confusion in his eyes. He asked her for another chance. But here's the crucial part, he wasn't asking for the old Maria back. He was drawn to this new, vibrant, self-sufficient woman. He wanted another chance not because she had finally changed for him, but because she had so beautifully and powerfully changed for herself. She had become the woman that, deep down, he couldn't stop thinking about, the one he finally realized he couldn't bear to live without. This is the essence of the secret. Letting go isn't a tactic. It is not a game of playing hard to get. If you do it with the intention of manipulating him, he will feel it, and it will fail. It must be a genuine, authentic, internal shift. It's about becoming so deeply rooted in your own self-worth, so in love with your own life, that you naturally radiate an energy of wholeness that no man, and indeed no person, can resist. It's about shifting from chasing love to becoming the source of it. And this shift is built on 3 foundational pillars, 3 core principles that Walter Riso identified as the bedrock of this sacred surrender. And understanding these 3 pillars is the next step in making this secret your new reality. Okay, let's break down the mechanics of this sacred surrender. It's not some vague, mystical concept. It's a practical framework built on 3 solid pillars that Walter Riso identified in his research. Think of these as the legs of a tripod. If one is weak, the whole structure becomes unstable. But when all 3 are strong and aligned, they create a foundation of unshakable feminine magnetism. Let's walk through them, one by one. The first pillar, emotional independence. The first, and arguably the most crucial pillar, is emotional independence. Now, this term gets a bad rap. We often picture an ice queen, a woman who is cold, distant, and claims she doesn't need anyone. That is absolutely not what we're talking about. True emotional independence isn't about building walls around your heart. It's about changing the source of your emotional well-being. Most of us are taught, subtly or overtly, to outsource our happiness. We look for a man to be our emotional caretaker. When we're feeling down, we want him to cheer us up. When we're feeling insecure, we want him to validate us. When we're feeling lonely, we want him to fill the void. We essentially hand him the remote control to our feelings. If he's happy with us, we feel happy. If he's distant or upset, our world comes crashing down. Our emotional state becomes a roller coaster that is entirely dependent on his moods, his actions, and his attention. This creates a dynamic of neediness that is deeply unattractive to a healthy, masculine man. He doesn't want the burden of being your sole source of happiness. It's too much pressure, and it suffocates the romantic spark. The emotionally independent woman, on the other hand, keeps the remote control firmly in her own hands. This doesn't mean she doesn't feel things deeply. She absolutely does. She loves connection, she desires intimacy, and she values a partner. The difference is that her fundamental sense of wholeness and well-being doesn't depend on him. She is the wellspring of her own contentment. Her happiness is an inside job. So what does this look like in the real world? It means when she has a bad day at work, her first instinct isn't to immediately call him to complain and seek comfort. Her first instinct is to check in with herself. What do I need right now? Maybe it's a long walk in nature. Maybe it's a hot bath with her favorite music. Maybe it's venting to a trusted girlfriend. She has a toolkit of self-soothing mechanisms. She knows how to process her own emotions and return to her center without needing an external party to do it for her. If he doesn't text back for a few hours, she doesn't spiral into a vortex of anxiety, wondering what she did wrong. Her mind doesn't immediately jump to the worst-case scenario. Why? Because her life is full. She's busy working on a project she's passionate about. She's laughing at a meme her sister sent her. She's planning a weekend trip. His response time doesn't dictate her inner peace. This creates an incredibly attractive sense of stability. A man feels this. He senses that he is with a woman who is a rock, not a leaf blown about by the wind of his attention. It allows him to relax. He doesn't have to walk on eggshells, constantly worried that a wrong move will shatter her. He can be himself, knowing that she is emotionally responsible for herself. This gives him the freedom to desire her from a place of genuine want, not from a sense of obligation or pressure. She connects with him from a place of abundance, not scarcity. She is not a beggar asking for emotional scraps. She is a queen offering to share the bounty of her own well-stocked kingdom. That is the essence of emotional independence. The second pillar, conscious presence. The second pillar is something Riso calls conscious presence. This is a powerful, two-sided coin that works in perfect harmony with emotional independence. The first side of the coin is about being fully present when you are with him. In our hyper-distracted modern world, true presence is one of the rarest and most valuable gifts you can give someone. When you're on a date with a man, are you actually there? Or is your mind somewhere else? Are you worrying about what he thinks of your outfit? Are you mentally replaying a mistake you made at work? Are you planning what you'll say next to sound witty and intelligent? Or, worst of all, are you glancing at your phone? The woman who has mastered conscious presence puts all of that away. When she is with him, she is with him. Her focus is total. She listens not just to respond, but to understand. She looks into his eyes. She catches the subtle nuances in his tone of voice. She is curious about his world. Because she isn't desperately seeking his approval, thanks to her emotional independence, she is free to simply enjoy the moment of connection for what it is. This makes the time spent with her feel incredibly rich and nourishing to a man. He feels seen, heard, and valued in a way that is intoxicating. He leaves a date with her feeling more alive, more energized, because he has been in the presence of someone who was truly, deeply present with him. Now, here's the other side of the coin, and it's just as powerful. Being fully present in your own life when you are not with him. This is where the magic really happens. For many women, when a man they like isn't around, their mind is still consumed by him. They're rereading his old text messages, they're stalking his social media profiles, they're daydreaming about their future wedding. Their physical body is in one place, but their mental and emotional energy is completely entangled with him. They are living in a state of waiting. The woman practicing conscious presence does the opposite. When she leaves that date, she flips a switch. She becomes fully present in whatever she is doing next. If she's working on a presentation, her mind is 100% focused on that. If she's at the gym, she's feeling the burn in her muscles and the rhythm of her breath. If she's cooking dinner, she's smelling the garlic and herbs, enjoying the process. She isn't constantly checking her phone, waiting for his, "I had a great time," text. She trusts that if it's meant to be, it will come. In the meantime, she has a rich, interesting life to live. This creates that magnetic paradise island effect we talked about. He senses that he is not the center of her universe. He feels that she has a full, engaging world of her own, and this makes him incredibly curious. It makes him want to be a part of that world. It communicates a powerful message without saying a single word. My life is amazing on its own, and I choose to share some of it with you. This combination of being fully engaged with him and fully engaged without him creates a dynamic of desire and respect that is almost impossible to resist. The third pillar, unconditional self-love. The third pillar is the foundation upon which the other two are built. It is unconditional self-love. This might sound like a fluffy New Age cliché, but in this context, it is the most practical and potent tool you have. Unconditional self-love is not about arrogance or narcissism. It's not about standing in the mirror and chanting affirmations that you don't believe. It's about cultivating a deep, abiding, and compassionate relationship with yourself, exactly as you are, right now. It's about letting go of the, "I will love myself when" mentality. I will love myself when I lose 15 pounds. I will love myself when I get a promotion. I will love myself when I finally find a man who loves me. That is conditional love, and it keeps your sense of worth forever held hostage by external circumstances. Unconditional self-love is the radical act of accepting and cherishing yourself today. With your messy past, with your perceived flaws, with your cellulite, with your anxieties, with your unique and beautiful quirks. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and understanding that you would offer to a beloved friend. It's about forgiving yourself for your mistakes and celebrating your victories, no matter how small. This energy of deep self-love is like an invisible perfume. You don't have to announce it. People can feel it. It radiates from you in your posture, in the way you speak, in the boundaries you set. A woman who truly loves herself carries herself differently. She doesn't apologize for taking up space. She doesn't laugh at jokes that aren't funny. She doesn't tolerate disrespect. Why? Because she has already set the standard. She treats herself with love and respect every single day, so it becomes her baseline. Anyone who enters her life must meet that standard. When these three pillars, emotional independence, conscious presence, and unconditional self-love, are in alignment, something extraordinary happens. You become like a warm, steady flame in a dark room. And what happens to moths in a dark room with a flame? They are simply, irresistibly drawn to the light and the warmth. Men are the same. They can't help but be drawn to the light and warmth of a woman who is whole and complete within herself. But let me be absolutely clear, because this is the most important part. This is not about manipulating men. This is not a series of tactics to get a guy. Any attempt to fake these pillars will be sniffed out immediately. It will feel incongruent and inauthentic. This is about a genuine return to your true self. And when you do that, you don't just attract any man. You naturally attract men who are on the same level of growth and emotional maturity. The right man for you is the one who recognizes and deeply values your wholeness. He doesn't want to diminish you or control you. He wants to grow with you. He doesn't see your independence as a threat. He sees it as a gift that allows him to be a better man. And here's where the real miracle happens. When you stop chasing love and start becoming a source of love, love begins to chase you. When you stop auditioning for the part of someone else's leading lady and choose to be the star of your own life, you become irresistible to the people who truly matter. This transformation works at any age, regardless of your past relationships or current situation. Because the secret isn't about changing your external circumstances, it's about initiating a profound internal transformation. The woman who masters this sacred surrender never has to beg for love again. She never accepts crumbs of attention or settles for half-hearted relationships. She becomes selective, not out of pride, but out of deep self-worth. She knows her love is a sacred thing, and it must be treated as such. And the man who is lucky enough to win the heart of such a woman knows, deep in his bones, that he has found a rare and precious treasure. He doesn't take her for granted, because he feels that she consciously chooses to be with him every single day. And it is that conscious, free choice that creates a love that is deep, resilient, and built to last. This is the part of the journey where everything changes. Now that you know the secret, now that the curtain has been pulled back and you understand the profound difference between chasing love and becoming a magnet for it, your life will simply never be the same. And I mean that in the most empowering way possible. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Once you understand the sheer magnitude of your own feminine power, you can no longer bring yourself to accept anything less than what you truly, deeply deserve. But let me be completely honest with you, because this is not about selling you a fairy tale. This change, this transformation, is not easy. In fact, it might be one of the hardest things you ever do. Why? Because it requires you to swim against the current of everything we have been taught about love, romance, and our worth as women. You are going to have to consciously and deliberately unlearn patterns of behavior that you have been carrying for decades, maybe your entire life. You will have to let go of the deeply ingrained belief that you need to try harder, be better, or perform in some way to be loved. You'll have to silence the voice of the inner critic that tells you your worth is tied to your productivity, your appearance, or a man's approval. This journey demands that you release the pervasive, crippling fear that if you stop chasing him, if you stop making yourself constantly available, you will end up alone. This process will feel uncomfortable. It will feel counterintuitive. There will be moments when every fiber of your being will scream at you to go back to the old ways, to send that double text, to agree to plans you don't want, to shrink yourself down to make someone else feel comfortable. Your old programming will fight back, because it's familiar, and the familiar often feels safer than the unknown, even if it's a cage. And right here, in this moment of challenge, lies the scariest part of all. The final boss of this inner journey. You are going to have to learn to trust. That's it. That's the great leap. You will have to trust on a level you may never have before. Trust in what? First, you will have to trust that when you are truly, authentically, and unapologetically yourself, the right love will find its way to you. Not a manufactured, forced love, but a real, organic connection. You have to trust that you don't need a mask, a script, or a strategy. That you, in your raw, beautiful, imperfect essence, are more than enough. Second, you have to trust that you deserve a love that you don't have to beg for. A love that doesn't require you to audition or constantly prove your worth. A love that feels like coming home, not like a never-ending job interview. You have to trust that a relationship should be a source of peace, not a source of constant anxiety and self-doubt. And finally, you have to trust that there is a man out there who will not just tolerate your quirks, your strength, and your independence, but who will actively choose you because of them. Not in spite of who you are, but exactly because of who you are. He won't be intimidated by your light, he'll be inspired by it. He won't be threatened by your wholeness. He'll be drawn to it, wanting to build an even greater life alongside you. This level of trust is terrifying because it means letting go of control. But the fruits of this surrender, the rewards of this transformation, are simply beyond anything you can currently imagine. Imagine it for a moment. Just close your eyes if you need to, and really picture this. Imagine waking up every single morning with a deep, quiet sense of knowing that you are whole and complete, whether or not you have a man by your side. Imagine the profound freedom of loving without fear, without that desperate, clinging energy, without the constant need to control the outcome because your happiness no longer depends on it. Imagine entering your next relationship not because you need someone to fill a void or make you feel worthy, but because you consciously choose to share your already full, vibrant, and joyful life with someone special who enhances it. Imagine, finally, being loved for the real you. Not for a polished, edited, people-pleasing version you've created, but for the messy, brilliant, passionate, complicated, and utterly unique woman you truly are. This transformation doesn't just revolutionize your love life. That's just the beginning. This energy, this sacred self-possession, will ripple out and touch every single area of your existence. At work, you'll find yourself speaking up more in meetings. You'll stop seeking constant validation from your boss and begin to trust your own instincts and ideas. You'll ask for that raise or go for that promotion, not from a place of arrogance, but from a place of quiet, confident self-worth. With your friends, the dynamic will shift. You'll find that the old patterns of competing or comparing yourselves begin to dissolve. You'll have less tolerance for gossip and drama. Instead, you'll find yourself celebrating their successes with genuine joy and supporting them through their struggles with authentic compassion. You'll become a beacon of strength and inspiration within your own social circle. And most importantly, the relationship you have with yourself will transform from one of criticism and judgment to one of deep, abiding love and respect. This relationship becomes the unshakable foundation upon which you build everything else. And here's something that Walter Riso emphasized in his research. He found that the women who undertake this profound journey back to themselves don't just attract better partners, they build fundamentally better relationships. Relationships that are not only more passionate and connected but also more resilient, more lasting, and more deeply fulfilling. But why? What's the psychological mechanism at play? It's simple. When you are no longer dependent on a relationship to feel whole, you are finally capable of truly loving. You are able to give freely, without the fear of emptying yourself, because you are constantly replenishing from your own inner well. You are able to receive love fully, without feeling indebted or unworthy. You can navigate conflict and disagreements without the paralyzing fear of abandonment, because you know that even if the relationship were to end, you would still be okay. You would still be whole. This allows you to be vulnerable, to show your true self, without the constant fear of getting hurt. A man in a relationship with a woman like this feels the difference immediately. He doesn't feel the immense, suffocating pressure of being her only source of happiness. He doesn't have to constantly walk on eggshells, terrified of saying or doing the wrong thing that might disappoint her or send her into an emotional tailspin. He can finally relax. He can be himself, knowing that she has her own back. And this gives him the freedom to love her more deeply, more freely, more authentically than he ever thought possible. But let me tell you something that might sound contradictory at first. This path of self-love and surrender, while making you infinitely more magnetic, will also make you far more selective. The pool of men you find interesting will shrink dramatically. Men who once seemed charming and exciting will now, under the clear light of your newfound self-worth, reveal their emotional immaturity. Relationship dynamics that you once tolerated or even sought out will suddenly feel completely unacceptable. And that is a very, very good thing. Because when you raise your own inner standards, you automatically and effortlessly filter out the people who are not on your level. You stop attracting the time wasters, the game players, and the emotional vampires. Instead, you begin to draw in men who are ready for a mature, conscious, and deeply fulfilling love. Some women hear this and they get scared. They have a moment of panic. But what if I become so selective that I end up alone? They ask. But here is the profound truth. It is infinitely better to be whole and joyfully alone than to be in a relationship and feel empty, unseen, and unloved. It is better to wait for one truly great love in your lifetime than to cycle through a series of mediocre, soul-crushing connections that diminish your light. And the beautiful reality is, once you reach this state of inner completeness, of being that radiant paradise island, you will rarely be alone for long. Because your magnetic energy, your quiet confidence, your authentic joy, it naturally draws in people who are on that same high vibrational frequency. Just imagine for a second how your conversations with men will change. Instead of desperately trying to impress him or please him, you'll simply be authentic, curious to see if he aligns with you. Instead of being terrified of what he thinks, you'll be more interested in what you think of him. Instead of anxiously worrying about whether he'll call you again, you'll be genuinely busy and excited about living your own fulfilling life. This transformation is felt instantly. A man senses on a level beyond words that he is in the presence of a woman who knows her value, a woman who loves herself, a woman who does not need him but might, if he proves worthy, choose him. And that, right there, awakens a deep and primal desire in him to rise to the occasion, to be the best version of himself, to be worthy of this extraordinary woman. But here's the most beautiful and perhaps unexpected part of this entire transformation. It's contagious. This journey isn't just about you. When you begin to genuinely, unconditionally love and choose yourself, you ignite a spark that has the power to light up the world around you. You become a catalyst for change. Think about it. When you stop competing with other women and start collaborating with them, when you see their success not as a threat to your own but as a reflection of the collective power of the feminine, you elevate the entire energy of your social circle. Your girlfriends will notice the shift in you. They'll see you setting boundaries with grace. They'll see you pursuing your passions with a newfound fire. They'll see you radiating a sense of peace and self-assurance that is both calming and inspiring. And they will start to ask you, what's different about you? You seem so happy. Your transformation gives them permission to begin their own. You become living proof that it's possible to live a life free from the desperate need for external validation. Your family will feel the difference, too. The old, worn-out dynamics will start to lose their power over you. You'll no longer be as easily triggered by a critical comment from your mother or the unsolicited advice of a well-meaning relative. You will respond, not from a place of woundedness or defense, but from a place of centered, compassionate strength. They will sense that you are no longer defined by their opinions of you, and this will subtly, over time, change the way they relate to you. They will begin to treat you with the same level of respect that you now treat yourself. And the men in your life, all of them, will respond to this new energy in ways that will completely surprise you. This is where it gets really interesting. That ex-boyfriend who seemed to have lost all interest and moved on might suddenly reappear, intrigued by the woman you've become. That coworker who was always polite but distant might begin to strike up genuine conversations, drawn to the quiet confidence you now exude. New men, men of a higher caliber than you've previously attracted, may seem to enter your life in the most unexpected and serendipitous ways. Your magnetic field will have changed, and you will start attracting a different reality. But here is what matters most, the crucial difference now. You will no longer be flattered by just any attention. Your heart will no longer skip a beat simply because a man shows interest. You will have moved beyond that. Your validation now comes from within, so external attention is no longer a drug you desperately need. It's simply data. You will become a conscious and wise investor of your emotional energy. You will observe. You will assess. You will give the precious gift of your time and your heart only to those men who demonstrate, through their actions and their character, that they are ready for the kind of deep, authentic, and respectful love you now have to offer. That, right there, is the ultimate outcome of mastering this secret. It's not about having a line of men waiting at your door. It's about having the wisdom and self-worth to choose the one man who truly deserves to walk through it. It's about knowing, with every fiber of your being, that you will never again settle for less than you deserve. And that knowledge, that deep, cellular certainty, my dear, will change your life forever. Because a woman who knows herself, who truly knows her worth, radiates an energy that simply cannot be ignored. It's not loud or boastful. It's a quiet, powerful hum of self-possession that rearranges the very atmosphere around her. A woman who truly loves herself becomes a magnet for real, authentic love. A woman who chooses herself, day in and day out, in big ways and small, will inevitably, at the right moment and in the right way, be chosen by the right man. If this message has touched something deep inside of you today, if you feel a little revolution starting to stir in your heart, then don't keep it to yourself. The world needs more women who are awake to their own power. Share this video with other women in your life who need to hear this message. Share it with your girlfriends, your sisters, your daughters, your mothers. Because when one woman awakens to her true power, she creates a ripple effect that helps awaken all the others. We rise together. And if you are ready to go even deeper, to truly immerse yourself in this transformative work and integrate it into your very being, then don't you dare miss the next video that is appearing right now on your screen. Click on that card. Continue this powerful journey with me as we explore more tools and insights for self-awareness and feminine empowerment. Because you deserve to be chosen. You deserve to be cherished. You deserve a love that celebrates every single part of who you are, not one that merely tolerates you. Your journey to becoming that magnetic, chosen woman starts right now. Alright, welcome back. If you are here for this part of our journey, it means something profound is happening. It means you've moved beyond simple curiosity. The information you've heard so far isn't just an interesting theory anymore. It's resonating with a deep, quiet truth inside of you. You're starting to feel the tectonic plates of your old beliefs begin to shift. This is where the real work and the real magic begins. We've talked about the what and the why. Now, we need to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty with the how. How do you actually walk this path when every billboard, every rom-com, and every old habit is screaming at you to run back to the familiar territory of chasing and proving? The first thing you must understand is that as you begin to implement this philosophy of sacred surrender, you are going to encounter resistance. But this resistance won't come from the men you're dating or the world around you, not at first. The most formidable opponent you will face is living right between your own two ears. I like to call it the voice of scarcity, or your inner saboteur. This is the voice of your old programming, the part of you that learned to survive by people-pleasing, by shrinking, by putting everyone else's needs before your own. It's terrified of this new path because it's unfamiliar. Its job is to keep you safe in the cage you know, rather than risk the freedom of the open sky. This voice is clever. It won't sound like a monster. It will sound perfectly logical, reasonable, and convincing. It will whisper some very specific, very persuasive arguments to try and pull you back into the old patterns. And our mission today is to shine a bright light on these arguments, to dissect them, and to arm you with the truth so that when they arise, you can simply smile, thank them for their concern, and carry on your new, empowered path. Sabotaging thought number 1. But if I stop texting him and focus on my own life, what if he forgets about me? Out of sight, out of mind, right? This is probably the number 1 fear that paralyzes women. It's the fear of becoming invisible. We've been taught that we have to constantly remind a man of our existence to keep his interest. We have to be a persistent presence on his phone screen, a reliable source of validation and attention. But this belief is rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of how genuine, masculine attraction works. Chasing, constant availability, and relentless pursuit on your part does not create attraction. It creates pressure. It communicates neediness. A healthy, masculine man doesn't want to be chased. He is biologically and psychologically wired to be the pursuer, the one who strives to win the prize. When you are constantly there, you rob him of the space he needs for his own desire for you to grow. Think of desire like a fire. To grow, a fire needs two things: fuel and oxygen. Your wonderful qualities, your laughter, your intelligence, that's the fuel. But the space, the absence, the time he has to think about you, to miss you, to wonder what you're up to, that is the oxygen. If you smother the fire by never giving it any air, you will suffocate the very spark you're trying to ignite. The voice of scarcity tells you that space is a vacuum where he will forget you. The truth is that space is the canvas upon which he paints his picture of you. It's in the moments you're not there that he replays your last conversation in his head. It's when he hasn't heard from you that he remembers the way your eyes lit up when you talked about your passion for painting. Your absence doesn't make him forget you. It makes your presence all the more valuable and potent. The right man won't forget about you. He will be intrigued. He will wonder. And he will step up to close the space you have so confidently created. The man who does forget about you the moment you stop chasing him is giving you a priceless gift. He's showing you he was never truly interested in the first place, saving you weeks, months, or even years of wasted time and heartache. Sabotaging thought number 2. This feels like I'm playing a game. I'm an honest person, and I don't want to play games. This is such a valid and important concern. The world is full of manipulative dating advice that encourages inauthentic behavior. But we must draw a massive, bold line in the sand between playing hard to get and being a woman of high value who is genuinely fulfilled by her own life. The difference is not in the action. It is in the intention. Playing hard to get is a tactic. It's about faking unavailability. It's waiting 3 hours to text him back while you stare at your phone. It's pretending you have plans when you're actually sitting at home in your pajamas. The intention behind it is to manipulate a specific response from him. It's an external strategy. The sacred surrender we are talking about is an internal reality. You don't reply for 3 hours because you've genuinely put your phone down and are completely absorbed in your work, a conversation with a friend, or a walk in the park. You can't see him on Friday night not as a move in a chess game, but because you have a long-standing commitment to a yoga class you love or a dinner you've been looking forward to all week. The intention is not to make him want you more. The intention is to live your life to the fullest. The fact that it does make him want you more is simply a beautiful, natural byproduct of your self-fulfillment. Think of it this way: you are not an actress pretending to be a queen. You are undertaking the inner work to remember that you are the queen. And a queen doesn't have to fake being busy or important. Her calendar is full, her purpose is clear, and her presence is a gift. This isn't about being a game player. It's about finally getting out of the game altogether and starting to live your real, authentic, beautiful life. And there is nothing more magnetic than that. Sabotaging thought number 3. Isn't it selfish to focus on myself this much? I've always been taught to be a giving, caring person. This is perhaps the deepest and most insidious piece of conditioning we as women have to unlearn. We have been celebrated for our selflessness, for our ability to nurture and care for others, often at the great expense of ourselves. To suddenly shift that focus inward can feel incredibly selfish, even wrong. Let me offer you a new perspective. The classic analogy of the oxygen mask on an airplane is a cliché for a reason. It's a perfect truth. You must put on your own mask first before you can effectively help anyone else. To be a truly giving, loving partner, friend, or mother, you cannot pour from an empty cup. For decades, many of us have been tipping our cups over, pouring out every last drop for others, and then wondering why we feel depleted, resentful, and empty. Filling your own cup first is not selfish. It is a prerequisite for a healthy, sustainable life and healthy, sustainable relationships. When you take the time to nurture your own passions, protect your peace, and cultivate your own joy, your cup begins to fill up. And soon, it's not just full, it's overflowing. It is from that overflow that you can give to others freely, joyfully, and without resentment. The love you give is no longer a depleted sacrifice, it's a joyful surplus. The woman who practices this isn't less loving, she is more loving. Her love is more potent because it comes from a place of wholeness, not need. The man in her life doesn't get a depleted, exhausted caregiver. He gets a vibrant, joyful partner who inspires him to be his best self. Redefine selfishness. True selfishness is showing up to a relationship as an empty vessel, expecting another person to be responsible for filling you up and making you happy. The ultimate act of generosity is to take responsibility for your own happiness, to become a radiant source of joy, and then to graciously share that light with the people you love. Understanding these sabotaging thoughts is the first step. The next is to build the practical structures that protect your new reality. And the most powerful structure you can build is the one that most women are terrified of: setting beautiful, strong, feminine boundaries. It's not about building a fortress to keep people out. It's about tending to the garden of your life and putting up a lovely, clear fence to protect the beautiful things you're growing inside. And that's exactly where we're going next. Okay, let's talk about the F word. No, not that one. The other one. Fences. Or as they are more commonly known in the world of psychology, boundaries. For so many women, the word boundary conjures up images of conflict, of being mean, of building walls, of pushing people away. It feels harsh, aggressive, and distinctly unfeminine. So, from this moment forward, I want you to completely discard that old, ugly definition. We are going to rebrand boundaries. Think of it this way. You have spent weeks, months, maybe even years, doing the hard internal work. You've been planting seeds of self-worth, watering your passions, pulling the weeds of self-doubt. You are cultivating a magnificent, thriving inner garden. A boundary is not a 10-foot concrete wall with barbed wire on top designed to keep everyone out. A boundary is a beautiful, white picket fence with a clearly marked gate. The fence is there to protect the precious, beautiful things you are growing inside. Your peace, your energy, your time, your joy. It keeps the trampling feet and the hungry rabbits out. The gate is there to consciously and deliberately welcome in the people who know how to respect your garden. The ones who will admire your flowers without picking them. The ones who will add to its beauty, not detract from it. Setting boundaries is not an act of aggression, it is an act of profound self-respect. It's the physical manifestation of the inner work you've been doing. It's you saying to the world, I value myself, and this is how I require you to treat me. And here's the secret that no one tells you. A healthy, mature, masculine man is not repelled by a woman's boundaries. He is deeply, magnetically attracted to them. Why? Because your boundaries are a direct reflection of your self-worth. When you demonstrate that you value your own time, energy, and well-being, it signals to him that you are a woman of high value. It proves you are not a doormat, not an option, but a prize to be won. It shows him the blueprint for how to love you correctly. So, how do we build these beautiful fences in a way that feels feminine, graceful, and firm? It comes down to a few key areas where women most often let their fences fall into disrepair. 1. The boundary of your time. Your time is your most precious, non-renewable resource. The woman who has mastered sacred surrender treats her time like the treasure it is. This is where the practical application of not being constantly available comes into play. Let's say a man you've been on 1 or 2 dates with texts you on a Tuesday night. Hey, what are you up to? Want to grab a drink? The old you, the you operating from a place of scarcity, would have likely felt a jolt of excitement and anxiety. Your inner saboteur would scream, say yes. This might be your only chance. Don't be difficult. You'd drop the book you were reading, cancel your plan to have a quiet night in, and rush to get ready. You would be communicating, non-verbally, that your time is not as important as his whim. The new you, the queen of your own garden, operates differently. You see the text. You smile. It's nice that he's thinking of you. But you have a boundary. Your Tuesday nights are sacred. That's your time to decompress, to do your yoga class online, to call your sister. So, you respond with warmth, grace, and a clear boundary. Something like, that's so sweet of you to ask. I'm tied up tonight, but I'd love to see you later this week. I'm free Thursday if you'd like to plan something then. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Let's break down why this is so powerful. It's warm and affirming. You're not being cold or dismissive. You start with, "That's so sweet of you to ask," which affirms him and shows you appreciate the invitation. It's a clear no to the immediate request. "I'm tied up tonight," is a simple, elegant, and non-negotiable statement. Notice you don't over-explain. You don't say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I wish I could, but I have my yoga class and I haven't done laundry." No. That signals that your plans are flimsy and could be changed. "I'm tied up" is sufficient. It respects your own privacy and teaches him that your time is already allocated and valuable. It offers an alternative. This is the key to setting boundaries in a feminine, inviting way. "But I'd love to see you later this week. I'm free Thursday." This tells him, "I like you, I want to see you, but you need to operate within the structure of my life. You need to plan ahead to get my time." This single interaction shifts the entire dynamic. It moves you from the impulsive, last-minute option category to the high-value date that a man needs to plan for category. He learns that access to you requires foresight and effort, which subconsciously increases your value in his mind. 2. The boundary of your energy. This is about protecting your inner peace. The woman practicing sacred surrender understands that she is not a dumping ground for other people's negativity, drama, or unresolved issues. Let's say the man you're seeing calls you after he's had a terrible day at work. He's ranting, complaining, and his energy is toxic and draining. The old you might have felt obligated to absorb it all, to spend an hour on the phone playing therapist, offering endless solutions, and ending the call feeling completely depleted and exhausted. The new you has an energy boundary. You can listen with compassion for a short while, but you know when to erect your beautiful fence. You might say something like, "Wow, it sounds like you've had an absolutely brutal day. I'm so sorry you went through that. It sounds like you have a lot to think through. I'm about to sit down for dinner, but why don't you take some time to decompress, and we can connect tomorrow when you're feeling a bit lighter." Again, let's dissect this. It validates his feelings. "Wow, it sounds like you've had an absolutely brutal day." You're not dismissing his experience. You're showing empathy. It points him back to himself. "It sounds like you have a lot to think through." This gently hands the responsibility for his emotional regulation back to him. You are not his fixer. It states your own boundary clearly and calmly. "I'm about to sit down for dinner." This is your reason for ending the conversation. It's simple, true, and about your own needs. It offers a future connection. "We can connect tomorrow when you're feeling a bit lighter." This communicates that you are not rejecting him. You are simply rejecting the negative energy dump in this moment. It sets a standard. I am available for connection, not for depletion. A man who is emotionally mature will respect this immensely. He might not even consciously realize what you've done, but he will feel that you are a woman who protects her peace, and that makes you a peaceful person to be around. The man-child who wants a woman to be his emotional punching bag will be frustrated by this, and he will filter himself out of your life. Thank you. Next. 3. The boundary of your values. This is the bedrock. This is about knowing what you stand for and what you will not stand for in a relationship. This is about your deal breakers. The woman who knows her worth does not negotiate on her core values. Let's say you value open communication and honesty. You're dating a man who tends to disappear for days on end and then resurfaces with a casual, "Hey, what's up?" text, offering no explanation. The old you might have tolerated this, feeling that any attention was better than no attention. You would have been anxious during his absence but replied with feigned breeziness the moment he returned. The new you has a value-based boundary. The next time you see him, you address it with calm, non-accusatory clarity. You might say something like, "Hey, can I share something with you? I really enjoy spending time with you. And for me to feel comfortable and safe in a connection, consistent communication is really important. It doesn't have to be all day, every day, but I'm not a person who does well with long gaps of silence. I just wanted to share that with you so you know what works for me." This is a masterclass in setting a value boundary. It's framed with I statements, for me to feel. I'm not a person who. You are not attacking him. Why do you always disappear? You are simply stating your own needs and your own reality. It's vulnerable and honest. You're sharing what you need to feel safe. This is not aggressive, it's courageously authentic. It puts the ball in his court. You haven't given him an ultimatum. You have simply provided him with information. Now, he has a choice. He can either step up and meet that need because he values you, or he can continue his old pattern, at which point he is showing you that he is not compatible with you. You haven't had to have a fight. You've simply revealed a standard, and now you can calmly observe whether he is capable of meeting it. Building these fences takes practice. It will feel clunky at first. But with each small boundary you set, you are casting a vote for your own self-worth. You are teaching yourself and the world how you deserve to be treated. And you are creating a protected, sacred space where a beautiful, healthy love has room to finally, truly bloom. You've made it this far, and this is where the path gets both incredibly interesting and intensely real. You've started the inner work. You're filling your own cup, reconnecting with your passions, and learning to source your happiness from within. You've begun the brave work of designing and building your beautiful white picket fence, your boundaries. You're starting to feel a sense of wholeness and peace that you may not have felt in a very long time. It feels good. It feels solid. And then, it happens. You hear a sound. It's the sound of someone rattling your front gate. This is a critical, inevitable, and I would argue, wonderful stage of the process. I call it the test. Just when you've established your new reality, someone will come along, consciously or subconsciously, to see if it's real. They will probe your fences. They will push against your boundaries. They will test the foundation of this new woman you are becoming. And how you handle these tests will determine everything. It separates the woman who is merely trying out a new tactic from the woman who has undergone a fundamental transformation. Before we go any further, we need to understand why these tests happen. It's not always a malicious or calculated act on the man's part. In fact, most of the time, it's a deeply primal, subconscious impulse. When a man encounters a woman who radiates a high degree of self-worth and has strong, clear boundaries, a part of his masculine core needs to verify its authenticity. He needs to know, is this foundation built on solid rock, or is it a movie set made of plywood that will collapse with the first gust of wind? Think of it from his perspective. A healthy masculine man is looking for a partner, an equal. He's looking for a woman who can be a calm harbor in the storms of life. He needs to know that her sense of self is not fragile. So, he pokes. He prods. He rattles the gate. He's not necessarily trying to break in. He's checking the quality of the construction. He's testing your container, your capacity to hold your own center without becoming reactive or emotional when faced with a challenge. In a strange way, his subconscious is asking, can I trust you to be my rock? Can I trust that you have your own back, so I don't have to carry the weight of both of us? Now, an insecure man or a man-child will also test your boundaries, but for a different reason. He tests them to see if he can break them. He tests them to see if he can control you and get you back into a dynamic that serves his ego. And this is the beauty of the test. It is a perfect diagnostic tool. The man's reaction to your steadfast fence reveals everything you need to know about his character. The good man will be impressed and step up. The wrong man will be frustrated and filter himself out. You don't have to do the work of rejecting him. He does it for you. So, what do these tests look like in the wild? Let's get specific. Test number 1, the last-minute retest. This is the classic. You've already done the beautiful work of setting your time boundary. You've told him, I'd love to see you, but my weeks fill up fast. I'm free Thursday if you'd like to plan something. He agreed. He made a plan for Thursday. It was a lovely date. Now, a week later, on a Wednesday afternoon, your phone pings. It's him. Hey, crazy day. Totally swamped. Wanna grab a spontaneous beer tonight and unwind? the old you would panic. The inner saboteur would scream, "He's busy. He's stressed. He needs you." If you say no, he'll think you're not supportive. But this is a classic test. He's seeing if that boundary you set last week was a one-time thing or a new standard. How to pass, with warm detachment. You are not annoyed. You are not flustered. You are pleasantly and firmly consistent. You text back, "Oh wow, sounds like a hectic day. Hope you get a chance to relax tonight. A spontaneous beer sounds fun, but my Wednesday is already spoken for. Let me know if you want to plan something for the weekend." Notice the tone. It's warm, supportive, "Hope you get a chance to relax," but completely unshakable in its boundary, "My Wednesday is already spoken for." You're not being difficult, you're simply being consistent. You are calmly teaching him, "The rules of engagement with me are still the rules. My time is still valuable." When he sees that your fence is just as strong the second time he checks it, his respect for you deepens. He learns, "Okay, she's for real." Test number 2. The sympathy test, aka the mini crisis. This one is subtle and plays on your natural empathy. He'll text you with some kind of mini drama. "Ugh, my landlord is being a nightmare." Or, "My boss just threw this massive project on me. I'm so overwhelmed." He's not necessarily asking for your help directly. He's baiting the hook. He's seeing if you'll jump into fixer mode, abandoning your own needs to soothe his. He's testing your energy boundary. How to pass, with compassionate distance. You acknowledge his struggle without absorbing his stress. You reply, "Oh no, that sounds so frustrating. Landlord issues are the worst." Sending you good vibes to get it sorted out. That's it. That's the whole text. You've shown compassion, "That sounds so frustrating." You've shown support, sending you good vibes. But you have not offered to solve it. You haven't asked a million follow-up questions. You haven't said, "Oh my God, what did he say? Do you want me to look up tenant rights in your state?" You have maintained your position as a supportive partner, not a project manager for his life. You've passed the test. He sees that you can be caring without becoming enmeshed in his drama, which tells him you are an emotionally stable woman, not a bottomless pit of emotional labor. Test number 3. The flake test. This is a power play test. You have a date planned for Friday night. On Friday afternoon, he texts you, "Hey, so slammed at work, might have to be a bit late tonight." Or even worse, "Hey, feeling a bit under the weather. Can we rain check?" The excuse itself is irrelevant. The test is in your reaction. He's watching to see if you will get upset, demand an explanation, or seem overly disappointed. He's testing how attached you are to the outcome. How to pass, with graceful indifference. Your world does not crumble because he cancelled. You are the paradise island, remember? Your happiness is not contingent on this one date. Your response, "No problem at all. Hope work calms down / hope you feel better soon. I'll just make other plans. Talk later." The key here is the phrase, "I'll just make other plans." It's cheerful, breezy, and incredibly powerful. It communicates, "My Friday night was going to be fun with or without you. Your presence is a lovely addition, but not a requirement for my happiness." This drives men wild in the best possible way. It shows him that your life is full, that you are not sitting around waiting for him. It takes all the power out of his potential power play and shows him that you are on an equal footing. If he's genuinely sick, he'll appreciate your understanding. If he's testing you, you have passed with flying colors. He will know that flaking on you means he misses out on your amazing company, and you will carry on being amazing regardless. Passing these tests isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about being unmess-with-able. It's about remaining in your calm, feminine center while the world probes you. You are the lighthouse, and the tests are the waves. The waves can crash against you, but they cannot move you. Each time you pass a test, your inner foundation solidifies. Your self-trust grows. And his respect and attraction for you multiply exponentially. But what happens after that? What happens when you've passed the tests, when you've weeded out the men who weren't serious, and you've established yourself as this woman of high value? You might find yourself in a new, unfamiliar space. A quiet space. Some might call it loneliness. But I call it something else entirely. I call it the glorious void. And learning to thrive in that void is the final preparation before the love you truly deserve finally arrives. And that's what we'll explore next. Alright, let's step into what might be the most misunderstood, most feared, and yet most powerful phase of this entire transformation, the glorious void. This is the space you enter after you've done the hard work. You've been diligently filling your own cup. You've built your beautiful white picket fence of boundaries. You've passed the initial tests with flying colors, weeding out the men who weren't serious, weren't ready, or simply weren't right for you. The drama has subsided. The time wasters have vanished. The endless stream of low-effort text messages has dried up. And you are left in a new kind of quiet. For a woman who has spent years, maybe decades, enmeshed in the chaos of chasing, pleasing, and overgiving, this quiet can feel deafening. The voice of scarcity, your inner saboteur, will seize this opportunity to launch its most vicious attack yet. It will rebrand this sacred space and call it loneliness. It will whisper, "See? It didn't work. You set all those boundaries and now you've pushed everyone away. You're going to end up alone. You should have been more available, more agreeable. You're just too picky." This is a critical moment of truth. You have a choice. You can believe that voice, panic, tear down your fences, and run back to the familiar, painful patterns of the past. Or you can take a deep breath, recognize the saboteur for what it is, and choose to see this space for what it truly is. Not an empty void, but a sacred, fertile emptiness. A chrysalis. The glorious void is the universe's ultimate gift to you before it delivers the love you've been asking for. It is a necessary and non-negotiable part of the process. Nature abhors a vacuum, but it first requires a vacuum to fill. Before you can build a magnificent new cathedral, you must first clear the land of the old, crumbling ruins. The glorious void is that cleared land. It is the sacred pause. It is the universe saying, "Okay, you've done the clearing work. Now, before we send in the right person, we need you to get deeply, profoundly comfortable and happy right here, with just yourself. We need you to fall so madly in love with this new life you've created that a man becomes a wonderful, amazing bonus, but not the entire point of the exercise." Why is this so crucial? Because if you are not genuinely happy in the void, you will bring a needy, grasping energy into your next relationship. You will subconsciously see him as your savior, the one who rescued you from the loneliness. This puts immense pressure on him and puts you right back into a disempowered position. But if you learn to not just tolerate the void, but to thrive in it, to revel in it, you become untouchable. You will enter your next relationship from a place of supreme wholeness and abundance. You won't need him. You will choose him. And that makes all the difference in the world. So, how do you learn to dance in the glorious void instead of fearing it? 1. Rebrand and reframe. It's solitude, not loneliness. Language is powerful. Stop using the word lonely. Loneliness is a feeling of lack, of something missing. Solitude is a state of rich, fulfilling aloneness. It's a choice. When you feel that old pang of, "I'm so lonely," consciously stop and reframe it. Say out loud, "I am not lonely. I am in a state of sacred solitude. This is my time to connect deeply with myself." This isn't just a semantic trick, it's a profound energetic shift. You move from being a victim of your circumstances to being the creator of your experience. 2. Date yourself, lavishly. This is the time to become the best partner you've ever had. All that energy you used to spend planning dates for men, thinking about what they would like and trying to impress them, turn all of it inward. Take yourself out on the dates you want to go on. Have you always wanted to try that fancy Italian restaurant? Book a table for one. Bring a good book. Savor every bite. Want to see that new art exhibit? Go by yourself. Spend as long as you want in front of each painting without anyone rushing you. Buy yourself the beautiful flowers. Run the bubble bath with the expensive oils. Romancing yourself teaches your subconscious that you are worthy of being romanced. It sets the standard for how a future partner must treat you, because you are already treating yourself with that level of care and devotion. 3. Cultivate feminine friendships. The glorious void is the perfect time to deepen your connections with other amazing women. For too long, society has subtly pitted us against each other in the competition for male attention. Reject that narrative completely. Seek out women who inspire you, who lift you up, who celebrate your growth. Create a sisterhood. Share your journeys, your fears, and your victories. When you are surrounded by a strong, loving circle of female friends, your reliance on a single man for connection and validation withers away. You realize you are already surrounded by so much love that a romantic partner becomes one beautiful thread in a rich tapestry, not the entire blanket. This well of love makes you infinitely more magnetic, as you're not approaching men with the thirsty energy of someone dying for a drop of water. 4. Go on a quest. Master a new skill. Your brain needs a project. The inner saboteur thrives on idle time where it can spin its tales of doom. Give it a new job. Pick something you've always been curious about and decide to master it. It doesn't have to be some monumental task. Learn to make the perfect sourdough bread. Take a pottery class and learn to throw a bowl. Sign up for a French language course. Dedicate yourself to finally learning how to play that guitar that's been gathering dust in the corner. This does two powerful things. First, it focuses your mental energy on creation and growth, leaving less room for obsessive thoughts about your relationship status. Second, the process of learning and achieving something builds an incredible, unshakable sense of self-esteem that is based on your own competence, not on anyone else's approval. The confidence you gain from successfully navigating a new challenge is real and permanent. The glorious void can last a week, a month, or a year. The timeline is irrelevant. Its purpose is to bake in your transformation, to make your new state of wholeness your permanent default setting. Your job is not to rush through it, but to savor it. Because one day, when you are least expecting it, when you are so blissfully happy in your own paradise island that you've almost forgotten you were ever looking for someone to share it with, you'll hear another sound. It won't be the insecure rattle of a man testing your gate. It will be a clear, confident, respectful knock. It will be the knock of a man who is not a boy. A man who has done his own work. A man who is not looking for a woman to fix or complete him, but for a whole and happy woman to build an empire with. He is drawn not to your neediness, but to your light. And because you have learned to thrive in the void, you will be able to open that gate, not with desperation, but with calm, joyful, discerning power. You will finally be ready to receive the love you were always worthy of. And that is where our final chapter begins. We've arrived at the final and most beautiful chapter of this journey. This is the culmination of everything you've worked for. This is the harvest. You have walked through the fire of transformation. You have faced down your inner saboteurs. You've built your beautiful fences and learned to protect your energy. You have passed the tests and refused to settle. Most importantly, you have learned to not just survive, but to truly dance in the glorious void. You have fallen deeply and irrevocably in love with yourself and the magnificent life you have created. You are whole. You are happy. You are radiant. And then, you hear the knock. As we said before, this knock is different. It's not a test, it's not a game. It's the arrival. It is the knock of a man who is your energetic equal. He is a man who has done his own work. He is confident, not because of arrogance, but because he knows his own worth. He is drawn to you not because you are an empty vessel he can fill, but because you are a brilliant, overflowing fountain and he is thirsty for a love that is real. He is not intimidated by your light. He is a man who has enough of his own light that he wants to stand next to you and create something even brighter together. Because you have done the work, you will recognize him almost instantly. Not by some bolt of lightning or cheesy movie moment, but by a feeling of profound calm and recognition in your soul. It will feel less like a frantic beginning and more like a peaceful coming home. Your nervous system, which used to go into overdrive with anxious butterflies, which we now recognize as a red flag, will be calm in his presence. You will feel safe. You will feel seen. But here, in this beautiful promising new beginning, lies one final, subtle trap. It's the trap of reverting. Now that you have the guy, the one you've been waiting for, there can be a powerful subconscious pull to fall back into old patterns. It's the temptation to stop doing the very things that made you so magnetic in the first place. This is the final exam. The final exam, maintaining your queendom. Your paradise island doesn't disappear the moment a worthy ship docks at its shore. The relationship is not the destination. It is a new, beautiful land you get to explore from the home base of your own wholeness. To pass this final exam, you must consciously and lovingly continue to practice the principles that got you here. 1. Keep your life full. The temptation will be to merge your two lives completely, to let his social schedule become your social schedule, to drop your hobbies to make more time for him. Resist this with love. Of course, you will integrate your lives, but you must not abandon your own. Keep your Tuesday night pottery class. Keep your Saturday morning coffee dates with your girlfriends. Continue to travel on your own or with your friends sometimes. Why? Because these things are not just hobbies, they are the pillars of your identity. They are the streams that keep your cup full. The right man will not feel threatened by this, he will love and admire it. He fell in love with a fascinating woman who had a rich life of her own. He wants that woman to continue to exist. It keeps the relationship fresh, interesting, and prevents the slide into codependency. 2. Maintain your boundaries with grace. Boundaries don't go away in a healthy relationship. They simply become more intuitive and respected. You must still protect your energy. If you need a quiet evening alone after a stressful week, you must be able to communicate that without guilt. You might say, I am so excited to see you tomorrow, but tonight I really need some quiet time to just recharge my own batteries. A good man will not hear this as rejection. He will hear it as, I am with a woman who knows how to take care of herself, which means I don't have to. It builds security and respect. You are still the guardian of your garden, and a good partner will respect the fence because he loves what's growing inside it. 3. Continue to be the source of your own happiness. This is the biggest one. He will bring you immense joy. He will make you happy. But he must never become the sole source of your happiness. You must continue to take 100% responsibility for your own emotional well-being. This means you continue to practice your self-soothing techniques. You continue to cultivate your own inner peace. This creates a relationship dynamic that is astonishingly resilient. When one of you is having a bad day, you don't both spiral downwards. The other can hold the space of calm and strength. You become a team of two whole people, not two half people trying to complete each other. This is the foundation for a love that can withstand the real challenges that life will inevitably throw at you. The ultimate reward, a love that breathes. When you successfully navigate this final stage, you create something truly rare and beautiful, a relationship that breathes. Because you both have full lives outside of the relationship, there is space. There is oxygen. When you come together, it's a conscious, joyful choice. There is time to miss each other, to desire each other. The polarity stays alive. The mystery and attraction don't fade after the initial honeymoon phase, because you are both constantly growing and evolving as individuals, and then bringing that new energy back into the relationship to share. This is the love that Walter Riso was observing in his research. It's a partnership of two sovereigns, two whole people who have chosen to join their kingdoms. It is a love built not on need, but on want. Not on desperation, but on devotion. It is a love that celebrates your wholeness, not one that demands you shrink to fit inside it. The journey you have been on, from the first spark of discontent to this beautiful, breathing love, has never truly been about the man. It has been about you. It has been about you coming home to yourself. It has been about you remembering the magnificent, powerful, and utterly unique queen that you have always been. The man, the right man, is simply the king who was wise enough to recognize another sovereign. So, if you take one thing away from our entire time together, let it be this: stop chasing love. Stop auditioning for it. Stop trying to prove you are worthy of it. Turn all of that precious energy inward. Build your own beautiful, magnificent kingdom first. Fill it with passion, with joy, with laughter, with friendship, with purpose. Fall so deeply in love with that life that a partner becomes a wonderful addition, not the main event. Do this, and you will not have to chase love, because you will have become a magnet for it. You will not have to hope to be chosen, because you will have already made the most important choice of all, the choice to love and honor yourself, first and forever. And from that sacred choice, all other things, including a love greater than you ever dared to imagine, will be born.